Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So it finally happened to me. I've owned this Jeep since it was brand new. It's a 2015, and the 3.6 liters are famous for having rocker arms fail in random vehicles at random times. So today, this is going to be a complete, very detailed video showing every step that it's going to take to get fresh rocker arms. I'm actually going to change the lifters and a bunch of top-end maintenance while I'm already in there. So let's get over here and get into this. So let's get this hood opened up real quick. All right, guys, so first step is the battery, the air cleaner, the air intake tube, the battery tray, and the fuse distribution blocks. So I'm gonna put on some music and then we're gonna take all these things off and then we'll get back into it. Okay. .210. That's probably 5/16. Okay, there's a intake air temperature sensor down. Okay, there's a temperature sensor right here. Don't forget to disconnect that before you take the tube off. Just pinch it, pull it off like every other sensor. And then we can take the air intake tube off. Set that over on the welding table. I like to put the bolts back anytime I can. Put them back in a few turns. Okay, so now let's get the air cleaner out. Now is a good time to wash your filter. So, take off the filter. Oh, a little bit of dog hair. Need to wash the filter. These actually just come straight out. It's got these little push-in deals. Okay, so the power steering reservoir has a bolt right there that has to come out. There's a bolt right there for the tray. The reservoir has a clip right there. That bolt, these three nuts over here, 1, 2, 3, and then there's one more bolt right there for the battery tray. Okay, the evap lines. The evap for the fuel system. Okay, so you'll just get a flat screwdriver right in between there, and then you pull up just a little bit. Yep. Right there. Okay, so you can see that side's loose. Same on this side. Right there, just a little, right there. Okay, there's the distribution box. All right, now that this box is loose, we need to get a pick. I'm going to pry that over, push that out, and then pull that one out. You can set that on the motor side. That one can go in there. This is going to come back this way. All right, so that's good for the pick. Now there's a clip. This is a body panel separation tool for body panel clips. We're going to go in here and loosen up okay. There's one more right here. There we go. Okay. Now the tray is loose. Oh, there's one more right here. Yeah. Okay, so now it's just time to wrestle the battery tray out while keeping the distribution box in place. Okay, so we're trying to get the battery tray out, and what we need to do is we need to part all of this stuff. Some stuff has to come this way, and some stuff has to go that way, so the battery tray can come out through the middle. So what we need to do is, we just separated the evap. We brought the evap line, the electrical portion of it here, the valve on that side. This is disconnected and going to go that way. So the distribution box is going to come this way, and this big power cable, it's a 13 mil. It's got to get separated because the cables are going to go that way, and the box is going to come this way. So now you can see we've got a lot more separation between everything. Okay, so this one here is a chassis ground. We're going to go ahead and loosen that 10 mil up. Don't drop your nut. There's that, 10 mil. Oh, I'm seeing a path. Make sure you put your nuts back. What is this? This is a positive. Oh, it sounds like the UPS man is here. Ah, there we are. Now we can take it out. Well, we just had the UPS man come by. Parts for the Willys. Okay, we have officially parted the C's. And the tray is loose. Okay. There's that big ass battery tray. All right, before we loosen up these coolant lines, we want to put a catch pan underneath the fitting. All right, so we need to loosen these two coolant hoses, these aluminum ones, so that we can set them up out of the way. So we're going to disconnect it at this seam and at that joint right there. Don't forget to put your drain pan down there. Yeah, we're getting about half of it. Oh no, we got it. Two 10 millimeter nuts will come off these studs. Okay. These two will just come out of the way. All right, so now we just need to start taking a bunch of these connectors loose. This main harness connector here, it's got a little safety and then a little pin or a little on this side. You just pull that and then pull this forward. There you go. Pull this, slides forward, and it comes apart.
is. There's the safety. And that one can come out. Don't forget to put your safety keys back in. 13 mil. You can tell that's a 13. That's what's on here. Some screw bolts. Looks like, oh, that's on the skid plate. Okay. All right, guys, I'm not going to bore you too much. We're just pulling connectors and getting this stuff out of the way. Well, I went in, I took a break, I changed my shirt. I didn't want to get oil all over that shirt. Starting to notice I'm getting a little bit greasy around here now. So I need to get that PCV valve out. It's a T25. I just got this, the line off. Yeah. There we go. All right. So now I got this little T25 on a little ratchet. It's a little micro ratchet that takes 1/4-inch ratchets. Oh man, there it is. That's fucking annoying. I'm getting it right now. That took 10 minutes to get this bolt with this tiny little T25 screw. Oh, there it is. Fuck you. That's crazy. PCV valve is not fun to get to. Alright guys, this is a pain to get to. You can see the PCV valves here. I got to the lower one right here. I fought the upper one for like 10 minutes. And then that lower one is right there. Stick my head in the way. Let me just stick my head in the way. Review. Anyhow, that PCV valve is not fun to get to. You're definitely going to need a T25 little 1/4-inch drive and a ratchet or an end wrench. Golly, that was annoying. Oh, and this is why, but this being on the back of the valve cover is the exact reason why the Jeep will smoke like crazy if you're on too steep of an incline for too long. Like if you're trying to hit a hard, real vertical obstacle. It's happened to me at least 5 or 6 times where we've been on such a steep incline that the valve cover doesn't drain the cylinder head doesn't drain the oil back to the pan quick enough, and you get a buildup of oil in the back of the valve train or the valve cover, and it starts sucking into the intake manifold and burning oil. So that's a stupid spot for this PCV valve. Should have been up here in the front or in the middle or up high, probably up high, like in the top of the valve cover, to prevent ingesting oil. And yeah, that thing's a pain in the ass to take out. All right, so I'm gonna pull the coil packs. I'm gonna get these cam phasers out of the front, and I'm actually gonna put some music on because I don't like working without music. So I'm gonna do probably a time lapse of pulling a bunch of this stuff apart. So I'll see you guys shortly. Transmission. Try to keep the debris down. Well, look how beautiful that looks. You can see that I changed my damn oil. That's crazy. That is beautiful. I hope that camera's picking up how clean that is. 130,000 miles. All right, guys. I'm gonna take a minute and look at everything. So let's look at all of these cams. Well, the cam looks good. That's good. The camshaft is good condition. It's almost, see these 4 holes right here? Those need to be perpendicular to the top of the cylinder head, the mating surface for the valve cover. And then those 2 marks, not the arrows are for the driver's side, but the dash, the line, once those 2 are aligned, which means it's just barely out. All right, guys, I'm gonna bring you in a little bit closer to show you some of the timing marks so that we can understand how to get this bank properly timed in so that we can use the tools and then take everything apart. So let's get over here and get a little bit closer look at this. All right, guys, let me bring you in a little bit closer. So on this is the passenger bank. So we're gonna look at the front of these cam phasers. You're gonna see there's an arrow on one side and a dash on the other side. So these 2 dashes and then the arrows. On the passenger side, you're gonna use the dashes. On the driver's side, you would use the arrows. So what you do is you adjust, you rotate the crankshaft clockwise until these 2 lines are perfectly parallel with the deck surface at the top of the cylinder head. And these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 holes in the cams are pointing directly up, perpendicular to the face of the cylinder head, the mating surface for the valve cover. So I'm gonna get down there and turn that, I believe it's a 27 mil, the crankshaft pulley bolt, until these are perfectly aligned with each other right here. And these will be, it's actually really close. So let me grab the wrench or the breaker bar. Okay, so we're gonna turn, I'm gonna do this one-handed. Where are we at? There it is. So I'm gonna turn that nice and slow. Wow, we're actually really close. Right there. Okay, you might still need a small fine adjustment. Then you'll grab your tool. There's a right and a left. If you look closely, that one says left. That would be the driver's side. The other one should say right. See, that says right. And then this will go right in between there. The writing will be up. Let me set the camera down and get that one. I'm going to put a crescent wrench on this flat spot right here and just rock the cam until that slides in. Let me set the camera down. All right, now that we've got the cams in time, it's all at the timing marks. What I need to do now is I need to mark the chain at some spots so that when I take it apart, if anything happens, I can put it back together on the marks that I'm going to make right now. So I'm going to take some brake cleaner and spray off the oil and let that dry so that we can go ahead and take our paint pen. All right, so I'm going to mark the center of these and the center link. The center of this link. And then I'll just, as a reminder that that's the center of those. one more little dash right there now that I've got some paint on the tip. All right, guys, so now that we've got the timing marked on the chain and these cam phasers, we can take these tools. It has a slot so that you can slide it in and relieve the pressure on the guide. So there's a hydraulic plunger that we need to depress so that we can get slack on this chain. So I'll go ahead and, it'll go on the left bolt. There's an oil galley bolt. There it is. That's in. Okay, so now that we have this tool in, you can see that there's slack in the chain. So now I need to put my backup wrench on the cam and then loosen up these two bolts. So I'm going to put the breaker bar on that and loosen those up so we can take off the exhaust valve. We're only going to do one side, one cam at a time. So let me loosen up this bolt. Okay, that was on there pretty tight. It's always good to use a backup wrench. Okay, I'm actually going to break this one loose so that, because they're all still bound up together with this tool, so I'm going to crack that one loose. Yeah, okay. So now these two are loose. We have slack. So now we can take these out. I'm only going to take this one side out right now. This actually can come loose now. Everything is oily. Okay, I'm going to set this for the exhaust side. I'm keeping everything organized. And this, and then we'll slowly let the chain slide down that guide and stay right there. Okay, now we have access to the exhaust cam. So I'm going to go ahead and crack each one of these loose. I'm not going to use power tools. I'm going to put a wrench and just crack these loose. And then these caps have to go back on in a certain way, the exact way they came off. So we need to confirm that they're all marked. They should be marked from the factory. Yeah, they're marked on these caps down here. So let me break these loose and we will take that cam out. Okay, those are all cracked loose. Exhaust 4. Okay. Ah, there it is. There's the one. I found it. Let me zoom in. Let me get. You can see this one has play. We're going to pull all of these lifters out. The lifters don't fail. They do, they can, but they're not known for failing. But we are going to change them out since we're already in here. I have the other one soaking. So we'll go ahead and grab 6 of these. Stick some exhaust lifters in. Nice fresh ones. Okay, put these away. All right, so now we'll grab our bowl of rockers. They're soaking. And we will put them on. Okay, make sure they're all down nicely. Good. Put it, just a little touch of oil back in the journals. Okay. Okay, so I've inspected the cam. The cam looks to be in good shape. Right there. So we've got these 2 holes back facing up. Okay, so now that we got the camshaft in, we want to get a little bit of oil on the journals. For the main caps. Put a little touch of oil. And want to make sure this is number 4 exhaust pointing forward. Give it a couple of turns. Make sure it's pointing forward. Give it a couple of turns. Touch of oil. Make sure it's pointing forward. And make sure it's pointing forward. Okay, so I'll put an overlay of the screen of the torque sequence, and the torque value is 89 inch-pounds. So we're going to go ahead and run these down in the right pattern, and then we're going to torque them down as a second pass at 89 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. Okay, so when you're dealing with such small torque values, I like to use this style of torque wrench. It's a bar style. So I feel it's a little more accurate, and it's just what I like to do. 89 is going to be, there's 89. There's 80, 89. 70, 80, 80, 89. 70, 80, 89. 60, 70, 80, 89. Okay, so we've got 70, 80, 89. 70, 80, 89. 70, 80, 89. There it is. So I'm actually not going to change the cam phasers. I'm not that guy. If it was failing, I would. So we're just going to go ahead and put the cam phaser back in. So pull that chain back up. That's on. There she is. Okay, now that oil control bolt, you do want to make sure that this feels nice. That's not sticking at all. Like I said, the only real problem with these, there is another problem that we will talk about, some bolts backing out in the oil galleys. But the only real problem with these 3.6 and the 3.2 is the rocker arms failing. Okay, so I'm not going to torque this one down yet. I'm actually going to move right on to the intake side. Okay, we'll set this one. That's why you do one at a time. One bank and one intake or exhaust at a time. So now we're going to slowly let that hang and put the cam phaser up on the shelf so that we can take this camshaft out. So I'm just going to run it out real quick. There's no point in showing you guys how to loosen up the cam bolts again, or the bearing caps. So I will see you when these are loose. Intake 1. Intake 2. Intake 3. Intake 4. Okay. Take that camshaft out. And take this over and inspect it on the bench. Yep, let's take this over to the bench. It looks good. Grab these rockers out. That one's good. 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 That one actually has just a little bit of play. Okay, lifters. Lifters. Get these lifters out of here. Get the fresh lifters in. Okay. There's number 1. Number 2. Three. 4. 5. And lucky number 6. Okay, rockers. Okay, these are going to get put away till the next bank. Let's go clean that camshaft, inspect it real good, and oil it up and bring it over. These 4 holes nice and vertical. Right there. There's the camshaft. Okay. We'll give the bearing surfaces a squirt. Okay. Okay, make sure that the arrows point forward. This is number 2. It's number 3. And number 4. Okay, so we'll run these down in the proper torque sequence. 10-foot long extension. Okay, get the torque wrench out. Now that the main caps are tight, I'm going to take the cam phasers, might need to put a little bit of a wrench on it. There it is. Okay. Okay, we'll snug that up. And we'll put the bolt Again, we'll make sure that depresses nicely. That feels good, spring's good. Nice and clean. All right, so I want to put the tool back in. It's going to be the right side with the writing up. Okay. We'll give the camshaft a little bit of a, there she is. That's that. Okay, so I'm going to torque these down right now. There it is. Okay. Take this one out. The slack is gone, nice and tight. That'll pump up even more. So the last thing to do is I'm going to recheck the torque on the cam bolts, the main caps for the cam. Just going to double check each one of those, make sure I didn't accidentally bypass one of them. And this side is good. All right, guys, so honestly, I think there's no point in showing me put in new gaskets for the oil pan, or excuse me, the valve cover. I am going to clean off the mating surfaces where the timing cover meets the cylinder head. We're going to scrape that off, and we get a dab of RTV in those two spots when we put the new valve cover gasket back on. But this is ready to go. I just double checked the torque, made sure I didn't skip a bearing cap, and we are good to go. We're back torqued down 118 foot-pounds. These are ready to go. All right, guys, so we're over on the driver's side now. This is the left bank. It's very similar, but different. It's a little bit more challenging to do the driver's side, the left bank. So the key difference is it's the same all the way up until getting the cams on timing marks, except for their arrows on this side. Once you get the arrows aligned and the 4 holes in the cams positioned up, just like the last side, then go ahead and mark the chain, the cam phaser on both cams, and also you'll see the dot on the camshaft. I like to mark the cap on both caps of the very first cap, because on the driver's side, the cams, when they're in time, are not in a resting position. What I mean by that is there is valves open when your motor's in time on the driver's side. So let me explain that a little bit differently. On the passenger side, when it's in time, we had no problem just loosening the caps and taking the cams out, because all of the valves were completely closed when the timing marks for the engine are all in place. On the driver's side, the left bank, you have some valves open. So that means there's tension on the camshaft because the high point of the lobe is actually fighting the valve spring. So you need to be a little bit more careful on this side. Okay, so let's get into this side. So on the left bank, you're going to use the thick tool. So this tool is thicker than the other one, and it doesn't have the slot that you're going to slide it in with and use the bolt as a guide. This one doesn't have a slot on either side. So we're also going to have to use this little specialty pick. There's a little wire tool that the kit comes with that we're going to have to reach in. There's a hydraulic guide. Okay, so I'm going to get my flashlight so I can see the hole. And get the tool in the hole. So now the tool is in the hole. I'm holding tension so that it stays in the hole. I'm getting this wedge in this configuration. I'm gonna pull up, releasing the tension, and then I wedge this all the way down in there. Okay, so you can see the dot on the camshaft. I put a corresponding paint pen mark on the cap. This one's basically vertical. The exhaust side is a little bit farther back on the cap, so it's rotated just a little bit counterclockwise this way. So I put the dot on the camshaft. I put a corresponding yellow mark with the paint pen, just so that in case anything moves, I know where it used to be. So now that we've got the slack in the chain, when the wedge is in place, the tensioner, the guide is released, and we have slack in the chain, we're going to leave this wedge in place this time. So I'm going to focus on the intake cam. What we need to do is we need to loosen. I have both of these bolts loosened, so they're only finger tight. So what I need to do is loosen this bolt all the way out, put it up on the shelf, and then this cam is under tension, like I said a minute ago. We need to move the cam phaser off of the cam just enough so that it can stay here. We're not going to loosen this one. We're not going to remove this one this time. We're just separating the cam and the cam phaser right here. Once there's enough space in between the cam and the cam phaser, we were actually going to let all of this stay suspended because of the teeth on this tool interlocking in the chain in the position it's in. It will stay here with enough slack to allow this cam to come out. Remember how I said that there's tension on this cam? We're actually, once we get this phaser separated, we're going to take the crescent wrench and rotate it towards the intake manifold about 30 degrees. And then you'll feel it unload off of the valve springs, and it'll be in a resting position. Don't worry about valve contact or anything. You're actually closing the valve, the one that's open, by rotating it to its resting position. And then once it's in its resting position and this is suspended and you're not going to bump it or anything, you loosen the caps, take the cam out, change your rockers and your lifters, and then oil your cam up, inspect it, put a new one or put this one back in. And then once this cam's back in and torqued back down in order in the torque sequence, then you're just going to slide. Well, then you're going to put a crescent wrench on the cam and you're going to bring that back so that that bolt, or excuse me, that little divot right there, that little mark in the camshaft is back aligned with this paint mark right here. And then you're holding it with the crescent wrench, and then you're going to slide the cam phaser back onto the camshaft. Once that's on, it'll key in to each other. It'll key, the cam phaser will key over the camshaft right here, and then you can put this oil control bolt back in. And that would be that bank. You're going to do the exact same thing for this one, except it's exact same thing. It's under tension as well. So that's it. Let's I'm going to put a link to a video. I'll put it right here up in the top corner. There's a link to a guy, Motor City Mechanics. He did a really good job explaining that. It's always good to hear a second person explain it. But I did my best job explaining what I'm about to do, and let's get into it. All right, guys, here it is. So to not do a dry start, you're going to take the accelerator pedal, you're going to hold it all the way to the floor. You're going to put the key in, and you're going to crank. Okay, what that's going to do is stop the ignition from firing and let the mechanical oil pump prime some of the top end before it fires right up dry. So I'm going to do that another time. Foot to the floor on the accelerator. All right, here goes the first start. Need a clocking spring. Got the airbag light on. Clocking spring's bad. Looks like I'm out of fuel also. Geez, I didn't know that. She's in time and she sounds quiet. Nice. Another one in the books. Take it out and wash it now.